today, May 24th. This is third period, so I know which class we're getting into. So as we get into today, one, you're going to see me looking down a lot because this is one of the few times I have notes that I'm going to be using as I go through and do a teaching thing. I don't normally use notes, but today's kind of a different conversation. I also have things I'll be putting up on screen behind me, but they're not really Brovy art or anything that goes along with the story. It's more just quotes and stuff like that. I did look up pictures of me from when I was in 7th and 8th grade. And then my best friends, Mr. Brown, and then Bloomley and Buzan. He's actually a teacher over at HSE. And then Dana was the girl I had a crush on in junior high. No, nothing ever happened because look at that and then look at that. And so nothing ever happened along those lines, but I figured it'd give you a good reason to laugh and giggle at me.
In 7th and 8th grade.
That's part of our conversation we're going to get to today.
His hair was so much darker.
What happens?
His face got more of an oval. He got like
Look at Mike Buzan. Mike Buzan kind of
Oh, and also I do have my yearbook over here that you are still welcome to sign if you want. And then next to it, Kylie Barrett left her yearbook and said people can sign it. So, you know, Kylie, you're welcome to.
Yeah, did she
But
sign
that's
the board?
up to you.
I'll sign.
Yeah, I saw that too. It's hard to miss.
Wait, Kylie sung. Will she post today? I'll find a pen.
There's pins over there. But don't forget the part where I get to smack you in the head if there's more than one kid standing over here because you're not going to be standing because that'd be distracting. That would be awful, which is why that would never happen. Yeah. All right. So today is basically what my year has been building up to, is the conversation that I have with you guys today. And the reason I have notes and the reason I'm going to end up pausing a lot is I have roughly an hour and a half of conversation to have, but only 30 minutes to have it. And so it kind of changes from one class period to the next, depending on what that conversation is going to be. And it kind of shapes depending on who's in the class and what happens from there. When I first started telling stories, it was just two. It was the one about me getting arrested in high school because that was my big embarrassing one, and then this one where I started talking at the end of the year, and then it expanded out from there. My whole year of me teaching you honestly builds up to today and the conversation that I am planning on having with you. One of the reasons why I've told you stories over the past 3 days is to earn your trust. Because I wanted today's conversation to have weight. And I figured the best way for it to have weight, for you to remember it, for you to carry it on, is for me to expose the things that shaped me and the dark moments in my life. It was my way of trying to earn your trust, get you to buy into today and the message that I have. My years of teaching, I have a lot of past students who come in and talk to me. And this year I had a lot of 7th graders coming in and talking to me this year. But normally it's 8th graders and high school kids and stuff like that. And I learn a lot about kids and home lives and what happens with you guys. And the joy of talking to 8th graders and high school kids is I get to see you in the future. I get to see what happens to you guys down the line. If I just taught 7th grade, it would be tough to just see you in this year of your life because almost every person hates their 7th grade version of themselves because almost every kid improves. From whatever you are now, you become better than this version of you, at least going off of what past students have told me. And if all I ever saw was the bad version of you, then that would be depressing. But the joy of having kids come back and talk to me is I get to see you guys improve over time. The drawback is some kids go through some really dark times to get to those good points. And for some of you, you've already started those dark times. I know things about some of your guys' home lives that I don't know if you know I know because I listen when kids talk. I listen in the hallways. I listen when other people have conversations, not trying to be creepy. It was more, I learned when I was a kid to listen more and talk less. Straight from Hamilton. But the fact is, you learn a lot about people just by listening. And I've realized that a lot of my students this year have rough home lives that they have to deal with. And the problem with that is, I look at most of you and I see two paths in front of you, because I can connect you to past students who have gone on to do great things and students who have gone on to struggle. And I didn't used to tell this story or to have this conversation with my advanced classes. I started it with my regular kids first because I worried about them more. And I figured my advanced kids didn't have the same struggles my regular kids did. That if you were in an advanced class, that things were probably going pretty well for you and you didn't really need me to help guide you. It turns out I was an idiot. And advanced kids are humans too. And advanced kids have just as many struggles as any of my regular kids do. Honestly, the first kid who came back to talk to me about dropping out in high school was a kid from my advanced class who was advanced in 7th grade and then struggled and then dropped out in high school. And so that was eye-opening for me. And so it's interesting also talking to Mrs. Butz, because I know she's having a discussion in her class today, because I've been telling her about this conversation today and the stories I've been telling and why I do it. And she asked my opinion if it was something I thought she should do, and I was like, absolutely. I think the more you talk to kids as adults, the better it makes them, the better it helps them along that path. But for me, my issue is I see two paths in front of you, a dark path and a light path. A path of happiness, a path of joy, a path where things go well for you. And I see a path where you turn to bad things. And I don't know which path you're going to take. And that was part of my conversation with Mrs. Butz, was the fact that she couldn't have this conversation when she taught at Sand because the kids weren't ready for it. And what I told her was, 7th grade's different. What I've learned from my students who come in and talk to me is, this is, for many of you, the last time you get, I don't want to say innocent, but where you get to be unaware of some of the horrors that are in the world around you. Many of my past students have told me that it is the summer between 7th and 8th grade is where they become aware of drugs and alcohol around them. Not that they don't know it exists in the world, but that it is a thing that kids do that they know. Where they are at a place where a kid is drinking, or they're at a place where a kid is talking about being high, or any number of other those poor choices that send a kid down that path. And if it's not the summertime, it's the beginning of 8th grade. And I'm aware that most of your parents still think of you as little kids, because it's what parents do. But the world doesn't treat you that way. The world doesn't care if your parents think you're a little kid. They are still going to confront you with really scary life choices. And I screwed up things in my life and made poor choices that I don't want you guys to do also. It's the drawback to you guys making me care about you, which you've done. I'm not wired as a person to teach and not care about the kids I teach. I can't just treat it as a job. It's just not who I am. It's not my personality. I teach because I want to see you guys become better people. And I enjoy doing what I do. So when my students go on and choose the dark path, whether it be substance abuse, whether it be friendships, whether it be being friendly before they should, whatever it may be, it hurts me because I don't want that for you. And I realized this is my last day to try and have an impact on you. This is my last day to try and help guide you. And if I truly care about you, and if I truly want you to become better people, then I needed to take time to talk to you as an adult and to let you know what's ahead of you and to try and help guide you as much as possible. And that's where today's conversation came in. I know I look like a happy, friendly, outgoing person who probably has no emotions, and it's hard for you guys to imagine me as a kid at times. But my childhood was not one of happiness and roses. I come from trauma and heartbreak and issues, and it shaped who I was. When you're a kid, you naturally assume all people have home lives like you do, because that's how people are wired. If you come from a home where you have two parents who love you and tell you that you're awesome and hold you responsible for your choices, you assume every kid comes from a home like that, because you should assume that, because that's the kind of home every kid should come from. Every kid should have the two parents who say, I love you, and that you're the greatest thing in the world, and we're going to sit around and have dinner together. But that's not the way the world works. I know for a fact I have kids in this class who don't have that going on. And for me growing up, my birth father abandoned me when I was 6 years old. My parents got divorced when I was 4. He was in my life for 2 years, and then he just left and decided he did not want to be part of my life anymore. And I've not seen him since in 40-some years. I grew up with alcoholism and drugs in my family. I am the most I'm the most normal person in my family, which should scare you, because no part of this is normal, and I have to tell my family on a regular basis, this is not normal. And they're like, well, compared to the rest of us. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not the way things should be. I like who I am, don't get me wrong, but I also know I'm not normal. I grew up in a family with alcoholic grandparents, where you couldn't be around my grandparents after 5 or 6 in the evening because they were drunk and violent and would yell at you and stuff like that. I grew up with family members that were in and out of jail through substance abuse, cocaine, marijuana, alcohol, getting arrested for any number of things. I was abused from the time I was about 6 until I was 14 from an outside family member. And so I know trauma. I know pain. I know what it's like to come from all of that. And the reason I tell you this is because I know I have students who go through things like that. And when I was a kid going through it, I didn't have someone to turn to. I didn't have someone to help guide me. And so that's part of what I want to be able to do, is help others who I think are struggling, to help others who I know who don't have the life that others do. And for you to understand that it's okay, that it's normal, that it's not always your fault that you got dealt a crappy hand in life. And I know some of you guys have been dealt a crappy hand in life. And not all of you have. I'm also fully aware that many of you in here can't connect to what I'm saying, because your home life is not like that. And that's okay. If your home life is a happy place, that's wonderful. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel bad. It's not a horrible thing. The reason I tell you this is I don't know all of your home lives. I don't know which kids have that struggle. And also, you need to understand that there are people around you who don't have the life that you do. When you come from that happy home, it's hard for you to understand a kid going through pain and trauma. You're aware that there are kids at our school who are not good kids, who, in your opinion, screw up, do bad things. What you need to realize is those kids grow up to be parents, and not every parent is a good parent. There are bad parents because there are bad people. I have students in 7th grade this year who have come to me and told me about abuse in their home because they have parents who yell at them. They have parents who beat them. I have kids who have never heard a parent say the words, I love you, to them. You have to understand, for kids who grow up in a home like that, it's hard to find happiness. When all you see is at home, and you see misery, and you see people yelling at you, and you see people making you feel like you are a horrible person, it is hard to come to school and be happy. I have students who have told me they are petrified of Friday because school's over. And the last thing they want is to be home for the summertime, because home is not their happy place. And the idea is they are dreading Friday, where they have to be home for the entire summer. And all they want to do is stay here, fast forward, and go to August. If you have a kid whose life is like that, they lash out. That is too much pain for a 13-year-old to have. That is too much for a kid to deal with. So kids who deal with that lash out in different ways. They don't do homework. They bully other kids. They attack other people. Because when life gives you that much trauma that you have to carry, it's too much for a 13-year-old, a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old to carry. And they have to find a way to let it out. So those kids are mean to others. One of the toughest things I've had to learn to do in my life, and the toughest things I've had to learn as a teacher, is to be kind to the people who deserve it least. The people who are the worst to you are the ones who need your love the most. The kids who bully you, the kids who are awful to others, the kids who you see being jerks, they need kindness more than anybody else. Kids are not mean just to be mean. I'm the teacher that has the weird experience of having kids come talk to me after school about being bullied. And then 2 weeks later, I have the bully come in and talk to me about how awful their home life is. And I get to see both sides of it. I see the kid being tormented by the bully, and I see the kid who comes in and tells me why they're being bullied. But I can't go around and tell everyone, this kid's home life sucks, that's why they're being mean to you. But sometimes when you wonder why bullies don't get punished here at school, it's because how do you punish a kid when their life already sucks? How do you punish a kid when their parents already don't care about them? How is it us yelling at that kid makes things better when their life is already full of trauma? So yeah, sometimes those kids who do awful things don't get the punishment that you think they should. But sometimes it's because you don't see what's going on in the background. And that's partly why I have this conversation with you today. Because those are things I did not know in 7th grade. I didn't know it when I was in school. I didn't realize it until later in life. Part of me teaching is I want to make the world a better place. I don't like the people that run our country. I don't like the people that run our world sometimes. I don't think they have the best interest of everybody in mind. I think the only way we change that is with people who are younger than me. And I need you guys to be the ones that help change the world. And that happens through kindness. It happens through caring. I'm hoping you've never seen me this year be mean to a kid, yell at a kid. I don't think you've ever seen me be angry. I don't think you've seen me tear into a child. But you have to realize I have emotions. I'm not a robot. I feel anger. I have emotions. It's why on the back of my shirt, Kivor, was created when I was a beginning teacher and I didn't have control over my emotions. And I would snap in class and I would yell at kids and I would make kids cry because they would make me so angry. And I did that for longer than I should have until I had kids come back and talk to me. And I started seeing why kids do what they do. And it gave me the understanding that I have yet to have a kid come through my class who is truly evil. I've had kids who've come through my class who are screwed up, but not evil. I need you guys to be the people who help change the world. My personality is a choice. I choose to be happy. I choose how I react to things. You guys can do the same thing. You can't control what happens to you. You can't control parents who divorce. You can't control sickness in the family. You can't control cancer. You can't control these bad things that happen. You can't control having bad parents. There are things in this world you can't control. You can control how you react to it. You can control how it shapes you. When these awful things happen to you, and they will, You can choose, how do you react to it? Do you let these awful things break you? Or do you let these things make you stronger? Because the trauma in your life will do one of two things. It is going to break you, and it is going to destroy you. Or you learn how to use it, and you use it to make yourself stronger in some way. I have had trauma in my life, and I was close to letting it break me, but instead I chose to make it a thing that strengthened me. And that's what I want you guys to be able to do. Now, along those lines, it's not easy. You guys are 12, 13 years old, 14, and it's a lot to ask of you. And I understand that. Part of what I'm telling you today might not have an impact today. For many of you, you are politely listening to me, and I appreciate it, but it's not having a deep impact for you. And that's fine. But I want to plant seeds so that there is a time when it does make sense to you. Because some of you have not had trauma yet, and that's fine. But you will. You can't escape it. You will have trauma in your life. You will have something in your life that is going to be that thing that overwhelms you. Darkness is part of life, and I want to help guide you through that darkness. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes, and I keep watching the time also, and I want to make sure I have time to get through things I want to say. For you guys this year, I know I serve different roles for different kids. And I've come to accept that over the years. And what I mean is, for some of you, this is just an advanced English class where you get to come in and hopefully you get to read some things and experience some things that make you smile, and you get to have a goofy teacher that entertains you. And if that's the role I've served for you, I'm happy. That's awesome. That's why I became a teacher. But I'm also aware that for some kids, that's not what I serve. For other kids, my room is a safe space. For kids who don't have a place to go where they feel safe, their home is not a place where they feel safe. Other teachers are not people who make them feel safe. And being in my room, as much as I hold you responsible for your choices, I don't judge. It's not in my nature. I'm not wired to judge people, regardless of your behavior, regardless of what you do, regardless of what you come from. I don't judge you. And if my room has been a place where you get to come and not be judged, and you get to be here and you get to feel like you get to be yourself, that's awesome also. I've realized my room is a place where kids misbehave, where they don't misbehave in other rooms, because they feel safe misbehaving in my room. They feel like they get to express a side of their personality that they don't get to express in other rooms. I have a number of students who kids will say, you know how that kid is in your class? They don't act that way in any other class. It's just your room. And that used to bother me. And I used to think, why does that kid just not like me? And it was as those kids left my room and would come back and talk to me, and I would ask them, why were you a turd for me? And they're like, your room was the only place I felt I could do things and you wouldn't hate me. And if my room was that for you, I'm glad. For other kids, I'm the only adult who interacts with them. I've learned that I have kids who come to school and their parents just ignore them, and they don't really exist at their house. Whether it's because of siblings, whether it's because of family members, whether it's because of their own issues, they feel ignored and they disappear. And they get to come here and they get to feel like someone sees them and someone acknowledges them and talks to them. And if that's how I've been for you, then I'm happy about that. And if I've served any other role for you, then that makes me happy. It's why I'm here. But what I also want you to know, my involvement in your life doesn't end tomorrow. My involvement in your life ends when you want it to. I have kids through college. I have kids who are graduated. I have kids who I go to their weddings. My involvement in your life ends when you are ready to move on from me. Some of you, that'll be tomorrow, and you're ready to move on, and that is okay. For others of you, you will come back and talk to me next year, and I will never turn you away. I've never turned a kid away. Even if you are that kid in my room who thinks you and I did not have a connection, and you and I did not connect, and you are just that kid in my room, I can tell you now, you are wrong. Just because you didn't feel a connection to me, it doesn't mean I didn't feel a connection to you. A lot of times when you guys see 8th graders come back and talk to me, they were the kids who I didn't interact with in class, or they were the kids who got in trouble in my class. Because I've learned I don't know which kids need that side of me. I don't know which kids need me as a guiding post for them. And if you want to reach out to me, I will always respond. I will always find a time to talk to you. I will always find a time to respond to you. Whether it be in person, staying after school talking, whether you be sending me messages, I will always respond to you, and I will always make time for you to come in. It may take me a little bit, because I have these things in my house called children, and they tend to take up some of my time, but I will make time for you, one way or the other. So much to say. Like, everything I want to say takes more than the time I have. Let's go a different direction. Thank you. Teaching isn't easy. It's really not easy right now with parents, government, with kids being broken because of COVID. It's not an easy thing teaching, and there's a lot of teachers right now who are leaving the profession because of it. But I'm lucky. You guys have made my job easier, and I appreciate that. It means a lot to me. You guys, as a third period class, have developed a personality as a class that I have enjoyed. I like looking forward to classes. I like looking forward to groups of kids and watching them interact. Whether it be a group of 4 of you who turn and talk all the time, whether it be my 3 stooges who raise their hands all the time, whether it be me having to deal with kids in the back of the room who keep, whatever it may be, I do enjoy it. I harass you because I want to keep guiding you to be a better person, but I don't want you to think at any time that was me being upset with you or judging you. I've enjoyed this year quite a bit. And that doesn't happen without you guys. My last positive thing I think I have for you is I worry that some of you guys are not the person you should be. You are not the version of yourself that I want you to be yet. And again, that's fine. It's 7th grade. You're 12 and 13 years old. But you're 8th grade next year. And 8th grade is big kid. 7th grade is pre-big kid. 8th grade's big kid. When you get to high school, you're permanently big kid. So here's my question for you. If you take something from my room in a positive way, it is this. What is stopping you from being the version of yourself that you want to be? Figure out who you want to be. Do you want to play sports? Do you want to be popular? Do you want to be outgoing? Do you want to be friendly? Who is it you want to be? And do it. Do not let other people stop you from being who you are. If you are shy and you don't talk, and you're worried about what people say about you. Why? Why are you letting the opinions of other people stop you from being who you want to be? I am a shy person. I am not outgoing. My happy place is quietly sitting by myself. But that's not the version of me you see in front of you during class, because I know that's not who I want to be. Who I want to be is outgoing. So I am, and I force myself. I fake it. All confidence that you see in any human is faked. I'm telling you now, anybody that you see in the world that you think is a confident person, it is fake. Because all confidence is faked. You fake it until other people believe in it. Why are you not faking it? I mean, why do you let the opinion of some kid stop you from changing your hair, wearing the clothes you want, being out loud? Why do you worry if some kid in the hallway looks at you? If some popular girl looks at you and goes, ugh, and makes a sound when they look at you, why do you care? Why do you put opinion and weight on what they say? I have painted toenails. I have purple hair. I wear whatever I want. Do people make fun of me? Yes. Do I care? No. Because you have to choose who is important in your life. Right now, you are developing your personality. You are figuring out who your friends are. Figure out who is important to you, whose opinions shape who you are, and you listen to them. Do not listen to other random people. You need to take control of your life and stop letting other people control who you are. If you are quiet and shy, be that because you want to be. Do not do it because you are afraid of what other people say. Pick the path you want to have and do not let others stop you from achieving whatever that path is. You don't have to have painted nails and colored hair, but do not let others stop you from being whatever it is you want to be. Use next year to figure out who you want to be and embrace it. That's my final thing to you.
Oh, wow.
Enjoy your day. Tomorrow's our last time together.